that. But let's stay on the World Cup subject, and let's talk about what's going on now. Now, we are out of group play stage, and we are now into the round of 16 because 32 teams enter for group play, and then the top 2 teams from each group go on, and you have 16 teams left. And it has started today, but I'm going to give you predictions on what's going to happen on the games today. And don't worry, I haven't seen them yet. Brazil wins, and I bet you Brazil will win in penalty shootout. Okay, I already saw that. So
I challenge you.
You challenged me, but
it did not happen.
And Uruguay got killed because they lost their best player because he bites people. So in the round of 16, we have Brazil and Chile. Okay, Brazil won. They're on to the next one. You have Colombia, Uruguay. Okay, Colombia won. They're on. You have France, Nigeria, which is a really good game. Should be happening on Monday. That should be pretty interesting because Nigeria is a strong team. They're very fast. And you know what? They're playing with a lot of heart right now because of all the crazy stuff going on in their country. But they are coming up against France, which is one of the more traditional powers in soccer. I mean, really, if you look at the whole organization, the big teams are usually like the Brazils, the Argentinas, England, France, Italy. Those are teams that you'll always see in the top. Netherlands is pretty good as well. So I predict France will come out of that, even though I'm rooting for Nigeria. Then you have Germany is playing Algeria. Algeria, this is the first time, I believe, that they've ever made it past the group play stage. So congratulations to you guys. You are going to run into a buzzsaw in Germany because Germany is just – they're beasts.
Well, they're the top – they're, I guess, the favorite at this point. Spain was ranked number 1. Yeah, Spain was ranked number 1 coming into FIFA, into the World Cup, but they didn't even win a game – or they did win a game, but they didn't make it out of group play, so they're done. Germany didn't do quite as well as we would expect in group play, but maybe they were playing conservatively. I don't know.
I think it was because they were in the group of death. I mean, this year's group of death was Germany, Portugal, Ghana, and the United States. So I think that held them back a little bit. So, I mean, because it was the toughest group. But I almost feel like if you're in the group of death and you make it out, you've already played some of the toughest competition you're going to play. I mean, it's a pretty good shot in advancing past that. So Germany has sharpened their teeth against these other teams, and now they're ready to Luis Suarez their way through it.
I was going to wait to see if there was going to be something about there, because you can't just say sharpen their teeth. But we were just talking about a guy, but okay. You know. I had to throw it in there. Oh, I'm sorry. Next time we'll plan out our jokes a little better. But so that's happening. And then Netherlands is playing Mexico. Netherlands just cruised through their group, absolutely demolishing every single team. I mean, they beat Spain, I believe, 5-1 or something like that, and they pretty much cruised. And they're playing Mexico, which is a pretty good team. Then you have Costa Rica got out against Greece, which was a pretty big surprise. I believe Greece won their last game and made it through, which was kind of crazy. I didn't expect Greece to do it at all, especially considering, I don't think they have much of a budget for a soccer team anymore. You know, all of those... You'd be surprised. Some of these countries will just find money for soccer.
Well, like Brazil did. Brazil said, we're not going to feed our people.
Yeah, well, okay, well, that was a little different situation, I guess, because the Greek team, they're generating their own money. And they have
I guess that's true.
Other stuff, sponsorships and whatnot. So it's probably not that big a deal. As opposed to Brazil, where they have to build a stadium on the public money. Yeah. It's a little different.
That is true. Yeah, just flying your guys over there to play is a lot different than having to build hundreds of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure when, roads, clean water, decent living for people. I mean, when that's not happening in your country and you decide to build these soccer stadiums, I can understand when people get a little angry. But then the next one, you have Argentina versus Switzerland. I'd say Argentina should not necessarily blow past Switzerland, but definitely beat them. They're definitely the better team. And then you have Belgium versus the United States of America. Yes, that was a joke.
Dun, dun, dun. Which is the big surprise because no one expected us to get there.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to get there. Hell, Jurgen Klinsmann, the United States head coach, did not expect us to get there either. So, and Belgium is actually, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team. They have a really, really good midfielder in Eden Hazard, I believe his name is. He's a beast. and he plays for Chelsea, which is the best English Premier League team, if you ask me. I don't really have teams, but Chelsea's my team. So they're really good, but I do think that the United States is strong enough, and I think they showed it playing against Portugal, tying them, beating Ghana, and only losing by 1 in a really good game against Germany. I think they've showed enough.
Really good game. I saw that game. It was not really that good, to be honest.
In soccer terms.
No. I'm saying, like, the U.S. was not playing strong. Germany was just also not playing strong. Like, it was, the number of errors was ridiculous. Like, I actually got to watch at least the last, like, half hour of it during work because my company just put it up on a screen, so we just worked while watching. And it was sometimes, like, things would go well. Sometimes it was, what's going on here? I mean, the U.S. maybe took 2 shots at the goal the whole game, and when they did, those were there's maybe one good one, kind of, and it was just weak. Like, they get up there and they don't know what they're doing. Everyone's tripping each other up. In fact, now I'm not going to blame them so badly for this, but I don't know if you saw one of the worst injury points in the game was 2 U.S. players hitting each other.
One of them, I think, broke his nose in that exchange there. So we have 2 broken noses on the U.S. team so far this World Cup. I wonder if there's a record for how many broken noses a team has had because Clint Dempsey broke his nose. I can't remember who broke his nose against Germany, but yeah, I did hear that he broke his nose. But I think part of that wasn't it there just a crazy torrential downpour during most of the game? I didn't get to watch the game.
I didn't see. Well, when I was watching, I didn't see any rain, but so I didn't.
Yeah, I think part of it was that it was pretty rainy and that really ruined the field conditions. So, I mean, that probably had something to do with it. But, I mean, we only lost 1-0 against, my opinion, in the best team in the world. So,
yeah, and I was somewhat surprised at how, I guess they did put a lot of effort going out there and risked a lot when both those teams could have just said, all right, you know what, we can just stand here for 90 minutes and we both go on.
Yeah.
And that's not how they play.
Yeah. But, I mean, the one good thing about what the U.S. did was it seems like they kind of brought a little more confidence to their play. You didn't see Jurgen Klinsmann coming into it. We talked about it, how he was saying, oh, we're not going to do anything. And now he's all ecstatic. Well, hey, our team is playing hard. We know what it takes to win. And they could really make a run for it. I don't see them going past the quarters, but I do think they could beat Belgium. If they do beat Belgium, they'll probably run into Argentina next, which with Lionel Messi is not going to be a really fun one to do.
Too, looking back at that, I've talked to some people that had an interesting perspective on that speech from the coach. That's maybe that was a really good move actually for him to say that, because what he ended up doing was taking all the pressure off those players, as opposed to the situation in England where there was a whole lot of pressure on the players, where they had high expectations that
we invented soccer, we must win.
Yeah, and so there's all that pressure, and then it affected their play, as opposed to the U.S. team. No pressure at all. No one's expecting anything. They just can go out there, prove themselves if they want, and they did, obviously, and relax about it. Play professionally with peace of mind, without external unnecessary stresses. Maybe that really was the case. Maybe that was his strategy. It's worked so far. I mean, granted, he only said that we wouldn't win the cup unless we played the best game every game.
Every game, yeah.
There's still quite a distance before the cup, and it's probably still not likely that the U.S. is going to win the cup.
It's damn near impossible that we win the cup, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah,
stranger things have happened. So, and it's funny too, because after the game on Thursday, you saw like people were kind of dejected in America, and they're like, "We lost. Wait, we're going through." How do we lose and go through? Because we're not used to that in American sports.
Well,
you lose, you go home.
The whole way, anyone that's watching the game anyway, they kept saying it throughout the game. The real big thing was not even our game. It was what was going on in Ghana,
Portugal,
Portugal. because there were certain outcomes from that could shift things if we lost, or if we lost by a certain number of points, or they won.
Yeah, what it is it's the goal differential, which would have been the factor.
Because we were going to be tied up.
Now, Portugal was the best team for us to have win because their goal differential, they lost by 4 goals in the first game, whereas Ghana lost by 1 goal and then they tied their second game. So if Ghana had actually tied, I think they would have gone. I mean, had Ghana actually won, they would have gone past us because, depending on how many goals they scored, but they would have been equal goal differential. And it's some weird thing like they count previous World Cups.
If they won and we lost, had we tied, we were going to go through.
Not necessarily. If Ghana had won and their goal differential was better than ours, let's say they outscored Portugal by 3 goals, and we lost by 1, our goal differential would have been 0, and theirs would have been +2, so they would have gone through. And I think there's also some weird tie-breaking scheme in the World Cup where you revert back to previous World Cups to decide who goes through if you have 2 teams like tied with both points and goal differential. I'm not exactly sure about that one.
What I've heard is that last case scenario, if everything's matched up, they literally just draw names from a hat, say.
Well, hey, if you know what the real way they do the tiebreaker in the FIFA World Cup is, let us know. Comments down below. WordsForMyFace.com, @WordsForMyFace on Twitter, and of course, WordsForMyFace@gmail.com. Yeah.
It's funny though, like you were saying, like I was watching the game too, like I said, with my coworkers, and at the end we're like, well, we move on. We lose, but we move on. Like it was kind of those. It was an extremely like mellow success.
Yeah.
Because
again, we don't believe in ties here in America. We don't believe in losing and still moving on. It's very against what we. It's kind of like, you know, in T-ball when you're a kid, everybody gets a trophy. And whenever I remember being like 6 years old playing T-ball and always asking what the score was, knowing my team was probably up by like 10, and them saying it's 0-0. It's like, what the hell? I know it's not 0-0 right now. You are lying to me. But it was always 0-0 after every game. I was like, man, I scored like 5 runs myself, and I didn't score any runs. Because just so you all know, I was the number 1 T-ball player in the world at 6 years old. Yep.
All right. Yep. Now, go back to something serious. It's funny, though. We've mentioned this before about the difference between the 2 footballs, but football does have the same scheme. It just doesn't come down up as much. The same scheme of possibility of ties outside of outside of like playoffs, right?
But they still go to overtime.
They do. They do initially go to overtime, but they can have ties.
And they try to make it
ability to go to overtime makes it rarer that we actually keep ties. But not only that, I was thinking too, in addition to that, the whole group play scheme of the point system, we don't quite have the same kind of point system. It's more just 1 point or half points if you tie, which is rare. But in our division, for instance, we have a series of things that go through to break those ties for the division leader, right? Whoever has the most wins is the clear one. If it has to go beyond that, it's the number of division games. And if it has
head-to-head schedule. Head-to-head schedule.
Yeah. And if it has to go the last thing, or I think the last thing, maybe that goes even further, but the last thing I'm aware of is the points, the number of the point difference, point spread.
Well, yeah, I mean in the NFL, if you're let's just say
it
2 teams
comes up, but
are tied 10-6 at the end of the year. Both teams are 10-6, and they split the head-to-head matchup. Yeah, then they go on to things like you go to conference common opponents, what your records were against common opponents, and then it breaks down into point differential and stuff like that. Yeah, but they have everything possible to make sure there's never going to be a tie. So,
yeah, and both do. There's a lot of similarities there, though. Like we just said, there's that final point differential. There's the I don't know, all the stuff in group play. There's ties, all this stuff, but it's so much. It is so much rarer in American football in the NFL to see it come down that far.
Like well, just American sports in general, they try their best not to have to ever tie. I mean, basketball, they'll keep going until someone wins. Hockey, they have the shootout at the end. So they just we don't believe in ties here in America.
Yeah, but I'm saying even with records though, where you're not talking about necessarily ties in a game, you can still have there's not much preventing a tie record. So
yeah, exactly. But then you have all these different breakdowns to separate that, and it just I guess you do in soccer too. I don't know. Let us know in comments down below.
Soccer. It goes to the
we did just talk about it. But I don't know about like their regular season stuff. Like what if one team finishes with 85, two teams finish with 85 points, how do they break it down? Probably about the same way. But yeah. But again, I'm enjoying this World Cup. I really am. And mostly because America's going forward, but is it going to be just kind of, only thing I care about it once every 4 years? I don't know. So we'll just see. And hey, you know what? I bet you the best thing for soccer in the United States would be as if America makes it to like the quarters or the semifinals. That would be huge. I mean, I'm not even saying make it to the cup. I'm just saying make it to one of the other rounds in and
keep soccer on people's minds for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Than usual.
But we'll see how that goes. But the World Cup has been exciting. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Again, my picks for the next round are Brazil over Chile, Colombia over Uruguay, France over Nigeria, Germany over Algeria, Netherlands over Mexico, Costa Rica over Greece, Argentina over Switzerland, and the United States of America over Belgium. Yeah. And just so you know, if you want to pick out one game, you only want to watch, let's say 2 games. If you only want to watch 2 games of this next round, watch the Netherlands-Mexico game. That is going to be a spectacular one. Mexico is really turning it on. Chicharito, I believe his name is. He's a spectacular player. Also, Ochoa, their goalie, is a beast. But the Netherlands have Van Persie and Aaron Robben, and they're stacked. So that'll be really fun to watch. You're looking at one of the better defenses against one of the better offenses. So that's the game you want to watch. And I said 2 games. Of course we want to watch the America game. If you're not watching the America game, you are un-American. Un-American. Okay, maybe you're not un-American, but
I mean, this is soccer we're talking about.
That is true. You should watch it. You just support your team. Come on, support your country.
This is non-American football.
So is it almost un-American to watch it?
If you're watching, you're breaking down our game of American football by supporting the international football.
I don't know where that came from, but yeah, it's been fun. So just enjoy it while the ride lasts. But